Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Walking with Jabo. Hope you are having a beautiful week. Today is Friday the 13th. So I hope you all have good luck today. You don't run into any Jason Voorhees hockey mask wearing killers or anything like that. We're walking today through some woods in Maine. Now this is the area last year that I ran into a mama deer with a baby deer, and I recorded them on video, which is on my channel. Just look for baby deer. Today is about 69 degrees, moderate humidity. We're going to get some rain showers in the morning. It'll be cloudy tomorrow, and then we're going to have 70 to 75 degrees all week. 78, sunshine, should be nice. So we're checking things out here. This is Woods Walk Gun Talk number 42. We're at number 42 already, which basically is going to be talk about gun laws in Maine, firearms themselves, and some politics thrown in as well. So if you don't like any of those topics, you should probably leave the video now. Alright, if you're still here, then I guess we're good to go. So Maine is still trying to pass LD 1109, magazine capacity bill, limiting semi-automatic boxed magazines to 10 rounds or less, because the Democrats are obsessed with that. So we'll see what happens. So we see a squirrel. Checking us out. So we'll see what happens with those. Democrats are having a tough time with those kinds of legislative decisions, because Democrats here own firearms and like their firearms, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to want 10-round magazines here in Maine. They have not been able to pass very much anti-gun legislation in Maine for that very reason. So it is a nice day today. I'm going to take a walk. I'll switch around to a selfie view momentarily. I don't know who we're going to see today. Last walk in the woods, we saw people picnicking, and we saw people on bicycles, which are not allowed in here, and we saw a transgender person, which is allowed in here, and I don't have a problem with that. As I told you, I have a problem with their ideology. Anyway, we're going to take a walk around the mosquito pit. Wish that dog would shut up. Jeez, dogs are loud and obnoxious. So that, my friends, is a mosquito swamp, a mosquito breeding ground. No ducks on it today. Shut that dog up. Jeez, that is one of the most annoying noises ever. So we're gonna try something a little different this week. Not too much for the selfie thing, to make my life easier, because I love this view on my head. But I also like to do the selfie stuff, so I'm gonna use the backup camera for the selfie stuff. Should be good enough for that job. Hi everybody. This is the selfie cam I'm using today. Hope you don't mind it. I thought it looked pretty good and didn't sound too horrible either. It's definitely good enough to walk with. So anyway, we got a lot of stuff going on in politics, and we're going to have to endure it like we always do. I'll get into the President Trump and his administration stuff shortly, but right now I want to talk about firearms and gun laws here in Maine. They really have not been able to get very much passed, but they keep trying. They have a machine gun bill revision on deck, and it has to do with the parts and trigger modifications that a lot of hunters here in Maine do, because they wish to modify triggers to be able to have a cleaner trigger pull while hunting. So the Democrats want to make that illegal because they don't want people to modify their triggers so they can shoot it like a machine gun, like a binary trigger where you pull the trigger, bang, and then when you release the trigger, you get another bang. So they want to make that illegal in Maine, even though the ATF says it is not illegal. So there you have it. Of course there will be lawsuits if it passes. I don't think that one's going to pass because it's going to interfere with hunters too much, and there's too many Democrats that hunt. And a lot of the quote-unquote common sense Democrats want to pass bills for gun safety. That doesn't do anything for that. So I'll continue this in a moment until we pass these people. Hello. How are you? So anyway, we have these bills, and you have the magazine capacity one, which they claim will save lives. There's no evidence of that, and anybody that shoots firearms know that's a bunch of baloney. But it makes them feel good. So I don't know what we're going to do about that. We'll see what it does. So those are the kind of things that they're trying to pass. So anyway, my friends, we are out here walking. I don't know what to do with these Democrats. They're just relentless. They're never going to quit. Never. Not ever. So people need to increase their due diligence in opposing this stuff. So Maine has a 72-hour waiting period, which we're trying to get on the docket to vote for. Citizens Initiative. We have another citizens initiative for voter ID. That's going to be on the docket to vote for. And we also have stuff like, I'm sure with the magazine capacity ban, if that passes, there will be lawsuits. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people that aren't going to comply with it just because you can't. You know, Maine has had no limits on anything. People own, I don't know how many magazines in the state of Maine. They're not serial numbered. There's no way to track them. And you're going to turn everybody into a criminal because getting 10-round magazines is going to be expensive. If they did that, there would have to be some kind of provision in there to forgive retroactively people that are not in compliance, because you'd have to modify existing magazines and you'd have to buy new magazines. And a lot of Democrats here own high capacity magazines, and I'm sure they're not going to be happy with that. So I'm hopeful that one's not going to go anywhere. Then they get another one where they don't want you to leave your gun in your vehicle overnight, because a couple of them were stolen out of vehicles, unlocked vehicles, and used for crimes in Lewiston. And of course the Democrats negate to mention that both times it was teenagers in gangs, and they're not from around here. So they don't like to talk about migrant crime, but I don't mind talking about it because it's a fact, and that's what's happening. Maine is a very low violent crime state, and the latest violent crime has been caused mainly by migrants and people out of state coming here to sell drugs. So their solution is to make responsible gun owners pay for that somehow, when we're not responsible for it. We didn't cause it. And the problem's not going to go away if they pass legislation limiting magazine capacities or banning people leaving firearms in their vehicles. And as I've explained, I don't leave my firearm in my vehicle because I don't want it stolen. So I'm already not leaving a firearm in the vehicle. But if people wish to do that, they should have the right to do that, I guess is my point. That was a mosquito bugging my ear. So when you see me do this, that's what I'm doing. Then we get somebody coming up behind me. So I'm going to swap over to the head cam and we'll turn this one off. Alright, we're back on the head cam. Most of this walk is going to be head cam. Thought I'd let you know. I've already got a good sweat going. My back is wet. So today, when I get up to the top here, instead of going right, I'm going to go left. So, yes, we have a lot of things going on. Last night we had the serious mispleasure of hearing about Israel attacking Iran. Trump didn't want that. Supposedly he got into it a little bit with Netanyahu on the phone because Trump is trying to do a peace deal with diplomacy. And Israeli intelligence, which is probably the best intelligence in the world, I'm being honest about that, have proof that we were within weeks of Iran having several nuclear weapons, which of course, in my honest opinion, and I've said it on this show, whether you like Israel or not, Iran would use nukes on Israel because they would be willing to sacrifice in the name of Allah to destroy Israel. And a nuclear explosion in Tel Aviv, killing millions of people, would absolutely grant them a seat in paradise with their celestial virgins and all this other stuff that they're promised. Martyrdom is big with them, and I'm not talking about all Muslim people, I'm talking about the radicals. The radicals, okay? They're very dangerous. And they have openly supported that. They would do that. Absolutely. The ones that invaded Israel were ready to die for that. From Hamas, Palestine. And so anyway, that being said, I think it was an inevitability because Iran didn't want to have peace. And this is another example on how horrible the Biden administration was. They actually freed up this money to Iran, thinking that they could negotiate with Iranian mullahs like they would another civilized country. And they ended up freeing up frozen funds, money, billions of dollars, stupidly, and they ended up funding Hamas is what they did, and Iran's proxies like Hezbollah. So, and also Iran's nuclear program. So this is what happens when elections are stolen. So this is what we have to deal with. President Trump wants peace and diplomacy. He did not want Netanyahu to attack Iran at this time. Apparently, Trump's posture has been, if we know for sure Iran has a nuke, they're not going to have a nuke. Trump just wanted a little more time to work out a peace deal. And Netanyahu doesn't want to wait because he's worried about the decimation of his country. And it's really a difficult thing to argue with him on that, because it's true. That entire region wants Israel wiped off the map. And it's almost like a final middle finger from Hitler himself, in a roundabout way, if you think about it, because Israel was created after World War II as a place for Jews to go, and because it is a holy land, and they just ignored the Middle East that was already there. They didn't want that. So that was the British Prime Minister that had the biggest hand in that in 1948, I believe. And then in 1960, what was it, 61, Egypt invaded Israel almost pushed them into the ocean. The Israelis, though, they know how to fight. They're very smart, and they have the best intelligence. They realized that that was a priority. So what did they do on this attack that they just did? They took out all the top military personnel. They took out the nuclear scientists, killed the scientists. I suppose that's a good way to halt a nuclear program, isn't it? Now they also have an underground complex that Israel, I do not believe, would be able to reach to destroy, but the United States has weapons that can do that. And I think the United States is going to end up doing that at some point for them. So it was made very clear that the United States had no hand in what's going on right now. In fact, Trump did not want it. So we're going to have to go through this and see what happens. Now everybody knows if Iran actually invaded Israel, we would help Israel. Would have to. I think NATO would too, begrudgingly. But I don't think we're going to see that. Iran is allies with Russia, but Russia is busy with Ukraine. They're tied up financially and militarily somewhere else. China, seriously doubt they want to go through all that strife on Iran's behalf, given the consequences that China would get for doing that. So I think what will end up happening is we're just going to have Israel strategically bombing and surgically removing their nuclear program bit by bit. I've already said this is going to be an operation that lasts perhaps weeks. And so the United States, begrudgingly, we're going to end up having to pay Israel money in military supplies, armaments, missiles, and things of that nature. Now I say we're going to have to, and somebody's going to say, no, we don't have to do that. Well, unfortunately we do. If something happened to Israel in that part of the world, and it gets invaded and decimated, nuclear bombs get exploded, that's it, guys. Game over for humanity. There will be all-out warfare. World War III, which I believe has already started. I've mentioned this before. You know, this is serious stuff. Very serious. Radical Islam. Radical Islam. You have to remember, under the Ayatollah Khomeini, they have some pretty radical people in charge, militant of nature. They have secret police. They arrest homosexuals and put them to death. They do a lot of bad stuff in Iran. They hang women if they're accused of adultery. It's not good. Not good, my friends. Very difficult to negotiate and rationalize with these people. They just don't want that. All they care about is their religious stuff. And if you're not part of their religious stuff, then you're an enemy. That's it. These people are very bad. Very, very bad. Go this way. Orange Trail. I'm gonna walk down Mosquito Alley, as I call it. Then we're gonna cut through the tick and poison ivy field, hopefully without getting either one. I don't know what's going to happen in the world, my friends, but get your ass right with God. That's all I'm saying. Time is running out. Combination of the world getting smaller, technology, which lends its hand to that. It seems inevitable that eventually we're going to find a way to destroy ourselves. I don't mean to bring a whole bunch of doom and gloom. There's not very much to be happy about right now. I'm just happy Trump is president to deal with it, because the other alternative is idiots like Lindsey Graham and that idiot Democrat out of Connecticut and a bunch of other ones that want war. We need to wipe Iran off the map. They want another financially crippling war that will finish us off and bankrupt us and ending us as a country. A lot of people don't think that'll happen. Listen, the Soviet Union collapsed. We can collapse too. We'll have to come back with an entirely new government. God knows what that would be. Democrats would make DC the capital again, and this time they would have a different constitution. They would probably welcome it. So those things can happen. And anybody like me making these videos, and anybody like you that's watching them, we're going to get sent to the work camps or worse. So, pretty good incentive right there. That's what they did in Russia, communist Russia, and they do that today in China. China is using so much technology to track all their citizens. There's no way they're ever going to be free. None. Not unless somebody comes up with some kind of massive computer virus that shuts down all the government systems in a coordinated revolution of some sort, and I just don't see that happening. I really don't. China is what it is, and I think it's going to be their empire for quite a while to come. And the only way they'll go anywhere is if they self-implode financially, which is very possible, because their real estate markets right now are awful. Their stock market is terrible. They're having a very difficult time, and that's why they're willing to sit down and work out a trade deal with the United States, because they have to. So I hope you're enjoying today's walk and talk. Firearm stuff. Boy, that Henry 17 HMR bolt action rifle that we got is a big disappointment. I'm really surprised too, because it's a Henry. It looks nice. It's made well. It's just not good. We sent it to Henry for them to fix it, and they sort of fixed it. They replaced the bolt and lever and this and that, and it's doing basically the same thing, just not as bad. So that rifle is going to be going away soon. I heard some woods. What do we got? Is that a deer? Hello? Anybody out there? Might have been a critter. So we'll go down this way. See what's going on over here. Probably nothing. Hello everybody. Selfie cam segment number 2. I'm going to traverse this hill. So like I was saying, the Henry rifle, the 17 HMR bolt action one we got, the varmint one, it's not a good rifle. I don't know why this one is behaving like that, but it is. So what else is going on? Oh, that plane crash in India. Man, wasn't that awful? That was terrible. The plane barely lifted and then just came straight down. Killed everybody. Landed in a medical doctor's hostel, which is living quarters for medical students and doctors. Killed some of them. I watched some uncensored internet video of burnt bodies that they were loading on gurneys. Pretty nasty. Not for the squeamish, but I like to see real coverage of what happened to understand the gravity of it. So But anyway, a lot of people died. Very sorry about that. And pretty nasty business. Definitely. So the other thing I want to talk about is this Alex Padilla, Senator Padilla out of California, with his political theater stunt he did at Kristi Noem's press conference, Secretary for Department of Homeland Security. And he barged in. Police did their job, Secret Service, FBI, and stopped him from advancing, and he was resisting the officers. So they got physical with him and dragged him out. And they don't know what kind of threat's going on. And he didn't have his lapel that senators and congressmen wear, identifying who they are to the FBI and Secret Service. And he also didn't have any ID on him. And after the altercation started, that's when he said he was Alex Padilla, senator, and he needs to talk to Kristi Noem. Well, he could have talked to her privately. He didn't need to make that spectacle. He wanted the cameras, he wanted the scene he made, and he wanted to go viral with it, which I guess he succeeded in doing. So the Democrats are like, well, the video speaks for itself. Well, yes, it does. After the altercation starts, he identifies who he is. Now, if you're in the Secret Service or a police officer and you don't know who he is, somebody just claiming to be Senator Padilla, I mean, couldn't that just be some nutbag? I'm Donald Trump. You know, we've had 2 assassination attempts on Trump. Every one of Trump's cabinet members, I think, at this point has received death threats. So some guy like that barging his way towards the secretary, and you could see in a different angle of the video, he was only feet away from her. So the FBI clearly did the right thing. Padilla was very reckless, could have caused serious problems, and he was resisting the officers. So they did to him what they would do to you, me, or anyone else who isn't above the law, wink wink. Get thrown on the ground and have handcuffs put on us until they can verify we're not a threat. It's called legal detainment. Officers do that all the time. They show up on the scene of a shooting, and, you know, let's say you're holding a handgun because you just saved everybody's life. You put the gun down, they're going to detain you and arrest you until otherwise known what you're doing. That's legal. They did nothing wrong. Padilla is the one that did something wrong. And the Democrats are pretty nasty propagandists when their back is against the wall and they're losing. And they are. So President Trump actually is doing very well. And these people don't like that. So I'm going to switch back to my regular camera now. So this is the map of the place. So we're going to walk through here. look at that. This is all infested with poison ivy and ticks. So after I walk through here, I'm going to have to check myself for ticks. Looks like we might get some rain. A little bit. Ouch. Stepped in a hole. Freaking dragonflies. I don't know where they come from. Just did a tick check. Two and a half miles. The woman in my ear said I went 2.5 miles. Alright, let's walk down this way again. Alright, do these rocks without sinking in the mud, I hope. Look how muddy that is. People walked right in it and got stuck in the mud. Look at it from here. Yeah, they sunk right down in the mud. That's what mud does. So I don't know what the hell's going to happen, guys and gals. Probably something not good. We've seen some crazy stuff already in the last 10 years. It wouldn't surprise me if we finally get to see a city destroyed with a nuclear weapon. Seems bound to happen. I mean, it's like all this foreplay that's been going on since the 50s with it. You know, eventually it's gonna go off. So I don't know what that means. It's definitely concerning. It's like but the harsh reality is, if something like that happens, there's not really anything we can do about it. We can try to do as much as we can to stop it. Screaming at people. Other than that, I really don't know if there's anything else that can be done. I'm pretty sure there isn't. People in power are hell-bent on doing it. Pretty sure, though, Iran ever knowingly and openly nuked Tel Aviv and Israel, that Iran would get nuked big time, and then I think all hell would break loose, if it hasn't already. So and that's always been the deterrent, mutually assured destruction. But how much does that matter to people that believe in martyrdom? People like the Japanese, who are willing to fight until the last man, and the only reason they stopped was because they realized Japan was going to be gone. The person they were dying for would be killed, the emperor. So, you know, this is different. These people are willing to die and go to heaven. That is pretty difficult to circumvent with any kind of rational thought, you know. Well, we are not going to go to the whale rock today. Last time I went through that field, I ended up with more than one tick on me. I don't enjoy ticks. In fact, I'm going to take a look Right now, I don't see anything on me. I don't see anything going up my socks. I'm wearing knee-high white socks for that reason. They're easy to see ticks. So instead of going that way to the rock, we're going to go this way up the steep hill that's going to kill me by the time I get to the top. But this is the life we lead. When I get to the top, I'll sit down and I'll do a selfie cam while I catch my oxygen, re-oxygenate my legs. I don't get winded, but my legs start burning from exercise, which was a lot easier when I was 20. But a couple, 3 weeks, I'm going to be 57. So not the same thing. Now sometimes I go that way. I'm going to go this way. I'll just trudge on up the hill. Eventually we'll get to the top. As soon as you stop walking, the mosquitoes come for you. Whew. That's a squirrel making that noise. Actually feeling pretty good today. Remember I was telling you, some days you feel better than others. That's all ages. That includes when you're watching your favorite hockey team and one of the players you like isn't having a good day. Almost at the top. There we are. I made it. I'm alive. Hello, my friends. Phew. A lot of work. So, I'm just walking through the woods and enjoying nature. I am officially soaked with sweat now. And so we got to talk about some things today. I'm really concerned about the No Kings March tomorrow. The No Kings consists of financing from socialist billionaires, globalists, who are financing this group. One of the people leading it is that woman that Trump fired from the Department of Education. She's a self-professed socialist and a Marxist, and she was responsible for a lot of the shenanigans going on in the schools, not firing teachers that are promoting transgenderism to children. The only thing kids should be doing in school is learning history, math, science, and things like that. They're not there to be indoctrinated into a cult. So Trump fired her and a lot of her staff and cut the funding from her NGOs through USAID, which was one of them. They fought like hell, filed lawsuits. So anyway, they have a website called nokings.org. Okay, they're always .orgs. That's why I call these people the .orgs. Okay, these are all socialist, neo-Marxist lunatics, far-left extremism, and they all have these non-governmental organizations. That's what NGO stands for. So they basically get money from the government, or did until Trump was elected, and they do these supposedly non-profit indoctrination, Marxism, spreading their stuff using tax dollars. And that was cut off, and they're not happy about it. So they've labeled him a king, and they actually use 1776 on their posters, like they're revolutionaries returning America back to how it should be from tyrants and fascists like Trump, dictators, Nazis. So that's the premise for that. So you'll find that out. Go to their website, nokings.org, and you'll see a map to find an event near you. Put in your zip code, and you will see more than likely you have a protest going on tomorrow, probably close to your neighborhood. They put a lot of money and time into this, advertised it, and they have a lot of interest from a lot of these young generation who are hateful, spiteful, vindictive, angry, selfish, far-left extremists. And because they're so vindictive, every time there's a protest, violence breaks out. And I think there is an underlying organization where they set up these protests to be peaceful, First Amendment, which everybody has a right to do that. Okay, First Amendment right for everybody. But as soon as you turn it violent and you block highways and you obstruct the rights of other people, then you're no longer peaceably assembling. That is not constitutional. It does not guarantee you the right to block highways and wreck people's days and have people die in their vehicle or having a heart attack because they're trying to get to the hospital, you know, that sort of thing. So go there, put in the zip code, and you'll see how many protests are going on this weekend, and you'll see why I'm concerned, because we saw what's been happening in Los Angeles. It's also been happening in San Antonio, Seattle, Washington, Chicago, New York. It's going to spread everywhere across the country tomorrow. And it's also the anniversary of the Army. They're doing a major military parade. This website was telling people not to go protest in D.C., but they're going to anyway. It's Trump's birthday, plus we got a military parade. The news media is going to be there. So you know they're going to show up and cause problems. So, National Guard in California. Power was given back to Gavin Newsom yesterday by a district court. A federal appeals court overnight last night overturned that and put a temporary hold on it until later today. Trump has every authority to do that, and I'm sure they're going to rule in that. But if the judge comes back today and says Trump can't do that, and then he has to do an emergency appeal to the Supreme Court, we don't know when the Supreme Court's going to look at that. Monday, after all the rioting this weekend is already over and you couldn't use the military? Not a wise decision by these judges. This could be that time where that judge's decision actually hurts the country, and hopefully sane minds realize that this isn't a us versus Trump, and this has to do with the country, and Trump has that authority as president constitutionally, which he does. So we'll see what comes of it, but like I've been saying, say a prayer for President Trump and the country. This is very serious right now. I don't know what's going to happen this weekend, but be prepared. That's all I can tell you. This also might be a good time, unfortunately, for any kind of terrorist cells that are embedded in the United States to unleash nationwide and have attacks as well. So that's about where we're coming now. So I just wanted to shoot that out there for you. And, let's pray for the best, friends. Seriously. We need some good stuff to happen. So I'm going to get walking again because the mosquitoes are hungry. So. Three miles in here. So my friends, don't know where we go from here. I'm gonna go up this way. We just hit 3 miles. Walk down this way, and we'll hang a right. Walk down towards the frog pond. Pretty sure this battery is going to run out shortly. Should probably change it now, actually. So basically what I'm doing is I'm doing kind of a selfie view, holding a camera on a gizmo like this, which actually floats in case you're in a kayak and you lose your camera. But I have this so I can record myself like this and still use the head cam. I don't want to go down this way. I want to go down the other way. I got a good sweat going today. Just dripping on my forehead. I don't want things dripping on my forehead. I've seen this 1,000 times. It's a fireplace here, which there's a sign stating not to make fires here. And usually people don't listen. And sure enough, there's something burned in there. Not much though. And I've always liked this saying here: kneel always when you light a fire. Kneel reverently and grateful be to God for his unfailing charity. Amen to that. So we're going to walk down this way. I'm going to walk down past another Mosquitoville. Hi. That guy's a lot more athletic than I am. I don't know if you saw that. He's just running up this hill like it was nothing. Must be nice. Oh, to be in your 20s again. It was about a year ago. Where does this trail go to? Oh yeah. Okay, this goes over to the yellow. About a year ago I ran into that baby deer down here. I talked about that at the beginning of the walk. That video is on the profile. Just use the search box on my profile and type in baby deer. Any frogs? A lot of water in here this year compared to last year. I'm not seeing all the frog activity. This is a nice little pond though. I think that would make a good jigsaw puzzle. So now I'm going to hang a left, start working my way out of here, I think. No turkeys or deer today. This is a part of the trail we have seen deer and turkeys before. Quiet out here. Ay, ay, ay. Take my turn up ahead. We'll get there eventually. Have to get at least 4 miles in here to get my 5 miles. There we go. Make a right-hand turn. There we go. Double blue. Whew. Well, we'll finish up the walk through here. Having a good walk today. Spending a lot of energy. I knew we'd find something that shut me up. That friggin' dude running up that hill, though, that kills me. Must be nice to be young. All I'm saying. But hey, I'm out here. I'm out here. Many people my age are not. So that's good. All right. It's a beautiful day today. We'll walk our way on out of here. I'll say my goodbyes to you. Yeah, so again, you know, we still have the big beautiful bill. Gonna call your senators and congressmen, let them know that you support it. Even if they already support it, they need to know that you appreciate their efforts and say thank you. Reaffirm the fact that that's what you want. And say thanks. It'll only take a minute or two. Most of the time you just get an answering machine and not even a person to talk to, but I always prefer when I get a person to talk to. Always be polite and courteous. My senator is Susan Collins. It's not always easy for me to be cordial when I call. So I guess that's all. I don't have a lot more else to talk about. Just pray the country doesn't burn this weekend. Oh, really, this could be really bad. I'm hoping nationwide it's all peaceful, but you know, what's the likelihood of that happening? Seriously. Pretty slim. Pretty slim. And you got the mayor of Chicago, an activist, Marxist, idiot, calling for everyone in Chicago to show up and protest. Well, he's basically calling for violence because that's all that's going to happen in Chicago. What he didn't say was, everybody needs to show up and peacefully protest with no problems. We don't want problems in our city. I didn't hear him say that. So his approval rating is 80% of the city disapproves of him. Most of the people in Chicago that voted for him are black, and they're upset at him. So their lives are not better. So it's nice to come out here and get some sunshine in my face. Thank you for walking with me in the woods. Hopefully you have places like this near where you live. I've seen some really nice ones around the country. A lot of them much better than this one. So take what you got and enjoy it. You know, get out there. Get out and enjoy life. Get some fresh air. Touch the grass, as they say. Get away from your computer screen, your job, whatever else going on in your life that causes strife and stress. And get out and smell the roses. Or in this case, smell the woods. That's weird. Something in that log was making noise. You hear that? Very strange. I have never heard that before. Don't know if you heard that or not. I think you did. Well, we've just hit 4 miles in my ear. Now I can leave here. I had to stay here until they hit 4 miles. Rocky the squirrel took off. You see that? I spooked him. We're going to hang a right up here. Pull my pants up. Losing my pants, folks. This is the mosquito swamp. We usually, sometimes we'll see ducks on. Nothing today. Alright, well, this has been a pretty good woods walk gun talk number 42. I'm running out of steam right now for talking anyway. I'm not running out of steam. Woods walking takes longer than city walking. Just kind of run out of things to talk about. I've mentioned that before. I don't like to edit my walks for content. It's much easier for me to just throw this on a computer, rip a copy, and upload it. But anyway, it is pretty amazing. We've done 42 of these in a year and a half. I think the first walk I recorded was November. November of 23, I believe. So we are going to walk on out of here, and I'll say my goodbyes. Whew, sweat dripping off my eyebrows. That time of year. That's why I do this and get a good workout. Now I felt really good and strong today, so this was really good. Alright, I get this little gazebo here, which isn't the gazebo. wrap up. I'm gonna get on my other camera to sign off with you guys. Hi everybody. Well, I'm gonna sign off. I just wanted to say thank you for walking with me today. Click like and subscribe, share the content, and I hope you enjoyed the walk today. And we will definitely come back here again. This was Woods Walk, a Gun Talk number 42. And I think we talked about a lot of things, but mainly we need to be concerned for the country this weekend. This is really going to be a big deal, and I really hope it's nothing. I hope I'm overreacting, and, you know, turns out to be a bunch of foolishness, worried about it for nothing. But I'm not sure if that's what's going to happen. So we will catch up on a future walk this weekend. I'll probably know a lot more then. We'll see anything that's happened or hasn't happened, and we'll have a discussion about it. But anyway, thank you for walking with me today. God bless you. God bless Trump and America and the country. Say a prayer for Trump, the country, and yourselves and your family. And we will see you on the next walk, my friends. God bless you. See you soon, everybody. Bye.